Ooh. So yesterday I got news that was kind of surprising to me. A person that I knew who was based in Dubai, who I studied with in Sarja Indian School. I studied in Sarja Indian School my whole life, the 12 years. So this girl who I studied with, she was not like the rest. She was a very bright young girl. She studied very hard. She took part in sports. She was really good all around. Okay, and I didn't keep in touch with her after school, but through the grapevine, I found out that she managed to get her PhD. She managed to become a very successful, career-wise. I'm keeping her identity confidential because it's a private matter. So, successful career. Then she managed to migrate to the West. Then she got a very good break. She ended up in the position of vice president. Then she got married. She got the citizenship of the Western country. She got like 2-3 children. Very happy, very, very happy. I mean, a perfect dream come true. And she was able to provide for her parents, give them a good house in India, property, everything great, perfect. No smoking, no drinking, marriage is perfect. Children are studying hard, preparing for college. Children learn multiple disciplines. So everything great. I was shocked and surprised to see the update that she had the last stages of cancer. And now the cancer had spread to her liver. And she didn't say it, but it is but obvious that she's going to die. And she has a few more days to live. It's not that I've not heard stories of death. It's not that I have not faced death myself. But it just goes to show you, I mean, you may think life is planned out for you. Life is going perfect for you, or you have this target. But then see what happens, like the most common saying, or the most famous saying, which I think we use is, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. The fact of the matter is, I think most of us live with the illusion that, bad things will happen to that guy. Bad things will not happen to me. Disasters will happen to that guy. For example, the floods in Kerala. Nobody in their wildest dreams assumed that there would be floods in Kerala where all the property, houses, everything would get destroyed. People lost millions. People lost their savings. People lost their stock. They lost their food. Their property. Everything was destroyed. Nobody assumed that. I know 2-3 guys who were planning to retire in Kerala, go back from UAE, and just 2-3 more years were left. They'd built their house, they'd built everything, only to hear the flood had ravaged the place. And then after which, when they went back, they found out that the property, 50% or 60% was destroyed. They had to rebuild it. And this gave them a really bad hit. I mean, think of the people in Australia, those bushfires. Think of the people who have had businesses dependent on China. This coronavirus nonsense. Just a click of a finger, anything can happen. Yesterday I was driving with my wifey, and we just remembered, okay, we have to purchase something, and we just turned the scooter around. Just imagine, we just went, it was perfect. We turned around, and lo and behold, 200, 300 meters ahead, two guys on a motorbike slammed into each other. One was a Thai man, one was an old Western expat. Don't know whose fault it was, but both of them were not wearing a helmet. And both of them were on the road. And I'll tell you the amount of blood that was there. I didn't feel it appropriate to take a video. Some people are taking a video and photographs and trying to put it on their social media. I didn't want to do that. My wife couldn't bear to see it. I looked at it and oof, blood was just pouring out like. I mean, I'm sure both those guys had some plans. Both those guys were, just going off, doing their thing. The Thai man must have been coming back from work, young guy. That old man must have been, I'm sure he must have thought, this is my retirement life. I'll go drink a couple of pints with my buddies and, shag a few girls and enjoy my life. I don't know what is his condition, but I hope he's okay. Like we had the other day, in Samui, the island that I am, every day there's an accident. Every day, this is not an exaggeration. Every day there is 1 to 2 accidents on this island with deaths every alternate or every third day. Okay. Now, there was this example of this tourist couple who came down to celebrate their wedding, honeymoon. And the cab that they were in, it was overspeeding so badly. I think the guy lost control. There is one part of the island that goes on a mountain and comes down, okay? It's very steep. It goes round and, this way. He lost balance, slammed into one of these poles like this. They both got thrown out. I mean, they have ruptured multiple areas of their organs. Bones were broken. He had hemorrhage, brain hemorrhage, both of them. Both of them require multiple surgeries. And both of them, it seems, don't have insurance. I mean, just imagine, newly married. I'm sure they never thought this would happen to them. In fact, I remember when I was a small boy, there was this, hijacking case of an aircraft. This is the pre-internet days. This couple just married. They were celebrating their marriage in the aircraft. Like they both were dressed up in their marriage dress. And they got hijacked by this guy. This is before the days the word terrorist was used. The guy, he killed the only one person that he killed in the aircraft. The only person he killed was the groom. He cut his neck off. Given the work that I do, see, this is not to make you depressed or feel bad or whatever. This is just to tell you the realities of life. See, now I speak to so many people who are from around the world for their careers. I get people in their 60s, and who are asking me, Loy, can you rebrand my resume? Can you help me get a job? Can you help me prepare? And then when I see their resumes, it's pretty stellar. It's pretty remarkable. Vice president, president. I even had one case where the guy was a CEO, managing director, big positions. And the salaries that they're asking for is $20,000, $25,000. So I'm like, okay, these guys who are big, when I tell them that this is my charge, they're like, what the fuck, why should I pay you so much, man? You're not born. Some of them tell me straight off, you're not born when I started my career, Some of them, they kind of want to show they are, obviously, because when they were working, I was still unborn. So I tell them, then find someone who's older than you. You're 60, find someone who's 90. It doesn't matter to me. And, throughout their life, they enjoyed a position of power. So they think everyone will dance to their tunes, only to realize nobody gives a fuck about them. Now they've lost their position of power. So then they, come down the high horse. They start talking to me. They pay me, and it's really sad. I'll tell you, in a way, it's really sad to listen to their stories. I've had this one guy who I did his resume. He was asking for, I think, in the range of $15,000 plus food, accommodation, car. Very well networked, very powerful guy. Okay, powerful guy, great connections. You know what the fuck happened to him? His own father, just imagine this, his own dad, misused his wealth. I don't know how he could take his eyes off the ball, but his father squandered his wealth in other things and he ended up with nothing. Genuine guy. I don't think he was bullshitting. His father made some investments or something and they just went belly up and he ended up with zero. Imagine a full life of working. You work from the age of like 16 or 15 and when you're in your 60s only to realize your father who is 80 or whatever made the biggest blunders and he had to restart his life all over again. And this is a fact of life. When you don't have money, you don't have position, nobody gives a fuck. And we made his resume, we did everything. After which he told me something really interesting. I said, tell me. He said, I want to tell you something, Loy. I said, go ahead, tell me. He said, Loy, he's saying, I want you to know that I was born and raised with this conservative Christian values and, we're very British. I said, okay. So he's saying, I would have never in my life spoken to someone like you. Someone who is tattooed. I hate people with tattoos. You don't have education. I hate people who don't have any, credentials. He was very highly educated, by the way. He had multiple degrees and all that. Stellar guy. And he got these degrees when working. And then he said, what? And I hated Asians. He was kind of like this slightly racist. He hated Indians, saying I found them smelly, stinky. So I didn't like them. So I said, I don't blame you. And you don't have to like everyone. And yes, I said, Indians, some of them are smelly and stinky. So it's not that you're saying something wrong. Just as most of the British are stuck up. So he laughed, I laughed. So I told him, and he was kind of feeling emotional. He was saying, life taught me a lesson, I was arrogant and I told him, see, listen, man, we all go through phases in life. See, my wife, my Thai wife, what was her criteria for marriage? Her criteria for marriage was she would marry only a Thai man. That's number one. Her second criteria was she would never marry anyone who had a single tattoo on his body. Seriously. And number three is she wanted someone who was into farming and not into technology. And lastly, someone who did not have girlfriends and, like they say, was a playboy, butterfly they call it. Well, guess what? She ended up with a non-Thai man. She didn't want tattoos. She ended up with a guy full with tattoos. She wanted a guy who was like a virgin. I was a class A slut. So I told him that, and I told him, see, listen, just go on with life. Life has its ups and downs, That is why during the interview process, when, some of the interviewers used to ask me, Loy, would you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Those days, I was a young guy. I would say, sir, in 1 year, I see myself getting the next level. 5 years, I see myself being, at supervisory level. 10 years, I see myself being a manager. You give smart ass answers like that to show, oh, I'm ambitious. But over the years, as I grew older, I realized, who the fuck are we trying to fool? Who knows tomorrow? And that is where I came with the answer. This is when I was young, when I was to go for interviews. What do you see yourself 5 years? I tell them, sir, I don't know what is going to happen next year, let alone 5 years. I can say that 5 years I'll be a supervisor, I'll be a team leader, I'll be a manager. I've even given impressive answers. 5 years I'll be in your seat, and you will be at a director level. So, but the fact is, nobody knows. I would like to give you a very positive answer saying that in 5 years I'm going to be XYZ related to the job and impress you. But the fact is, I don't know, you don't know what is going to happen in the next few years. So the only thing which I can tell you is in 1 year or 5 years' time, I'll be more or less in the same industry, doing more or less the same job, but bit more experience, bit more wise, earning a bit more, taking a bit more responsibility, and making sure that whatever I do handle, I do it to the best. Some people like the answer. Many of them thought I was being like a preachy grandfather. But today my answer stays the same, man. I mean, do you know what's going to happen in 5 years? Who predicted this coronavirus? Tell me, who predicted this? China and US were locked horns for the trade war, all this drama. And China was boasting about being the superpower. UAE was bragging about its relationship with China. Coronavirus, everyone's not quiet. US is not talking about any trade war. UAE can't do anything to attract Chinese people. I remember the CEO of this company, Shoba, he was saying that he is going to invest millions millions are going to come and buy his property from China, or they're going to invest in China. What the fuck happened? See, life is too unpredictable. Don't start jumping your high horse and making all these plans. Anything can happen, man. See, this even some of my other videos where I tell you my ex-girlfriends. Case in point, this one girl. I wanted to marry her. She rejected me based on the fact that her actual words, how can I introduce you to my parents? Number one. Imagine the girl who I'm having sex with, who we are making love every day, like a married couple. Having sex, doing everything. You name it, we have done it, okay? Spending time like a couple. But when I asked about marriage, she told me, how can I introduce a person like you to my family? That was the first thing. I said, why? What is that supposed to mean? Saying you look like a freak. How will I celebrate Christmas with you? How can I hold your hand and walk? How can I, Tomorrow if you have a baby, how can I tell the world, this is the father of my baby? I want someone whom I can proudly show to my parents, who I can show to the world, who I can hold hands, my family will respect, they'll admire. She gave all these things. Now, this is not to bash her up. This is not to make her feel bad or something if she's watching. I don't know if she even watches. In fact, she did marry someone who was tall, handsome, big, successful, dynamic, much better than me. Education, money, everything. But fast forward, I did go through, 2011, where I was unemployed and on the streets and all that shit. Okay. But, and I'm sure that time she must have said, thank goodness I didn't marry someone like him. But eventually today, life being unpredictable as it is, today I'm very well off. I have a beautiful baby. I have a family. My life is sorted out. But in her case, her marriage is broken up. Her husband has nothing to do with her. Now, she has a beautiful baby. But, the baby doesn't have a father figure. So now, holding hands, showing to the world, being proud, this is my husband, this is the father. What happened to all that? And on top of that, she has developed health issues. She has put on weight. See, the life is unpredictable for everyone. Okay. I so remember in my banking days, these guys who are my seniors. I met them after a few years. I don't want to take their name out of privacy concerns. They were like high and mighty during the boom days. They were making good money through investments, credit card sales, loans. Today, the banking industry is bleeding, is hemorrhaging. They're terminating people left, right, and center, and more people will lose their jobs. I've told you, my prediction is 50% more workforce will be reduced. Okay? Now, these guys, they're no longer showing off. They're no longer bragging. They're no longer showing larger than life. They've come down to earth. All that showing off, all that high and mighty. Even you just have to go through life, man. Just look at your relatives, look at the people you know, those people who are showing off. That's why, in my case, no, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I'm very cautious. I'm very, always think tomorrow, day after tomorrow, okay, anything bad can happen. That's why even when driving, I'm so cautious. You just don't know what the fuck can happen. Someone, maybe you'll not hit someone. Someone can hit you from back. So it's like offensive, defensive driving, Even where money is concerned. Tell my wife, tomorrow what if this happens? That is why do you think I made this announcement that I would not drink coffee and espresso and take massage and do all those things. I would look for cheaper alternatives. Not that I can't afford, just that if I was living poor, if I was poor, would I do all these things? No, I wouldn't do all these things. So why am I doing it now? I live a good life. It's not that I'll suffer, but I live within my means, So yeah, guys, these were some of the thoughts that I had with regards to life and especially the incident that took place. Let me know your thoughts because it is kind of disturbing. To be honest, it makes you realize how life is. The rank holders of my school days, all these guys who used to get first rank, who were the promising bright futures of who the teacher said they will be really great rank holders. What happened to them? Earning piddly salaries, some of them earning even less than what. It's not for me trying to be disrespectful, but what I earn in a few hours is what they earn in a month, some of them. It's sad. It's sad to see all this, So anyway, guys, not to depress you, but my bottom line, the message that I want to give you is life is too unpredictable. Life is too short. Don't make these plans like 20, 30 years later, I'm going to retire. You might just get a fucking heart attack now and die. And all the money that you've saved for the future will just, go to nothing. This is what happens. Like case in point, that guy from Abu Dhabi, UAE, Indian guy, 34 years he worked in UAE, saved money back home, had a house, had a bungalow, and decided he's going to retire. Everything happy, went to the airport, got a heart attack because he got emotional, died. All the money, the bungalow, the big house, the big everything for the future, which he saved. I mean, think. You work your whole life to build a house, to stay. So that when you're old, you can stay in that house. What the fuck is that? So that means during your good days, you suffer. During your good days, you go through shit. Only for only for you to retire one day and be there. What if that age will never come? What if the house remains built? What, you're building a house for your dead body to be there? Whatever you build, your children are going to enjoy. So what the fuck, man? That's why I tell people, I'm not going to build a big house and only for me to die. My wife sometimes says, save money, build a big house. I said, for what? So that we can retire. I said, I'm going to die. I'll go to the grave. House will be for you, right? My wife feels bad, but this is the reality. Anyway, guys, these are my thoughts. Let me know yours. Love to hear from you. This is me signing off.